You're dismissed. Well, welcome to task 2. I trust you all had a good night's sleep. I would like to remind you as we engage in today's task that one of you will be leaving after this. So please take this seriously, as if your life depends upon it, because it does. Today we're very fortunate. We've got Precious Nduli here from Discovery Insure, who are our sponsors for the task, and she's going to be taking you through what you need to be doing later.
Hi guys. The task is very simple. Discovery Insure is a company that is known for innovation. So our question is, what is the next big game changer in the insurance value chain? So today you will be split into 2 teams, and we will take you to the discovery offices where you will meet with a broker, an insurer, and a reinsurer, and they will give you insights into their role in the insurance value chain. You will also go to a panel beater who will take you through to what they do, and then your task is to say what is the next big disruptor in the value chain. It's a simple task, but it does need to be innovative. It can be an improvement on an already existing innovation. It must be implementable, and lastly, but certainly most importantly, it must add value to the client. And what we want at the end is that you need to produce a business plan.
Vuyo, you have anything to add?
Good morning, apprentices. I think while you're out on your field trip, it's quite important that you listen very carefully, be very observant, and ask questions to get the relevant information at each touch point. And my other advice is that you manage your time well and really get that executive summary right. Good luck.
Right, so the 2 teams today, team 1 is Kabelo, Palesa, Lisa, Mutora, and team 2 is Nick, Keith, Sitelo, and Kurt. So I'd like you to go away, come up with some team names, and what we're going to do differently is you're going to choose a leader in each team. Now, I must stress how important that role is. It's important that you get it right. There's a great deal of responsibility attached to being the leader. And that's all, you're dismissed.
Thank you. Yesterday is gone, today is a new day. The good that I did yesterday or the bad that I did will not impact today.
Task 2 is, for me, a way to redeem myself from task 1.
Basically, we started off here, and from here we went to the discovery offices.
Just from my side, a very, very big welcome. I'll be doing the presentation from an insurer point of view. I've lived through some of these innovation cycles, in Discovery. And specifically, what are the key things that we continue to watch from a values point of view, from changing behavior when it comes to incentivizing people? And why is innovation, we believe, critical, if we want to continue to stay cutting edge?
I'm here to talk to you this morning about the importance of the insurance broker in the short-term insurance value chain. So Who of you know how the market is changing at the moment?
They had 3 presentations, from Discovery Insure as the insurer in the value chain, from Guy Carpenter as the reinsurer, as well as from Aon as the broker. And basically these 3 parties introduced their role in the insurance value chain. What value do they add? What do they think is changing the industry? What type of innovations do they think is set to disrupt? At least what are the challenges? So that the contestants can understand what value they can add, which is what the task is about.
We believe that disruptive innovation is innovation that creates a new market and value network and eventually disrupt existing market players and value networks.
The lectures that we attended was to show you the whole value chain of the market, being the reinsurer, the insurer, and we're able to now pick from that value chain where we would have liked to improve and give an innovative product within the value chain.
We have floods and all of these things are impacting the industry.
We are going to contextualize the role of reinsurance in what you need to do.
It helped quite a lot because we were able to get more information, understand the industry as well, from the broker to the reinsurer to the insurer. So it was nice to see that element.
The perspective that they gave us were quite intriguing. I mean, we were thinking out of the box, say, okay, so this is where everyone fits in. We had maybe an information overload because it was so much. I got to a point where I slowed down on taking notes and just listen and read the presentation that they gave us.
We don't want to replicate what's out there in the market. That's not our job. Our job is to deliver advice and expertise to our clients.
Can you use things like augmented reality that when someone goes through a sales process, they can understand your product better?
Discovery is quite innovative, so they're really on the forefront, so they're trying to think even further forward. So we're just trying to think almost ahead of them.
So from there, we went on to a panel beta, which obviously is another crucial element of the value chain. So, I mean, as insurance providers, we really sell a promise, and the panel beta is part of that claims promise.
Right, good afternoon guys, and thank you so much for joining us today at Unit Rivonia. So what I'd like to do today is give you some introduction into what we actually do at an auto body repairer, how importantly we interact with our clients, which are actually your clients at the end of the day.
Out of all the lectures that we went through today, I think the one thing that was very, very new to me was the visit at the panel betas.
Where does your biggest frustration lie, or not, should I say the client's frustration lie, in terms of that turnaround time?
I've never stepped into one of those places except for maybe to drop off my car, which was generally outside. Someone else takes it inside. So having sight of that and understanding how things actually work was actually new to me.
And I'm going to take you through the stage-by-stage repair process.
It's been a very challenging day because time has been of the absolute essence. He spent a good amount of time at Discovery's office itself, and since then we've been collaborating and coming up with some new ideas. Yeah.
So accident happens, information gets transferred to insurer. Insurer couples the information on their database with the accident information, transfers that through to the panel beaters panels. From OEM we get the pricing, the quotation for the repair. So the pre-quote, and we can estimate firstly whether the car is economical to repair or not economical to repair, because the insurer has on their database the market value of the car.
We then send it to the panel beta, which is geographically most convenient given the client's risk index, because it's generally how the authorized information works.
Then a signal is sent to the actual insurer to say, you know what, this individual has cancelled cover, and then it also goes back to the finance house to say that the vehicle that you're actually financing is off the books. It doesn't work for you. It happens already.
It's quite difficult because often the things you think about, think about that and it's already been done, and you know, like how can you really change things?
Why now just not download one Discovery app, get your sleep and get all the other safety features with
And then also you'll be driving on the app and then it'll say to you, oh, you've gone 10,000 Ks, you should consider rotating your tires.
Yes, which the average man on the street, I don't even know when to rotate my tire.
It all tells you that you're speeding, and sometimes you don't know the speed limit.
Today you have to appoint a leader, and that leader carries the risk for the whole team practically. So we discussed who's comfortable with the task. Keith volunteered, said, okay, I'll do the task.
So we initially picked Keith as a leader, and he was humble enough to step down and pass the reins through to Kurt, because he feels Kurt is going to drive this more.
It was tactical from a sense of winning the task. I just genuinely believe that Kurt showed the best passion in this regard, and I felt like I was holding him back.
I can't speak for his motivation. It is what it is. I think without effective leadership, we wouldn't have got to the point that we did. And I think as a responsible team member, somebody had to pick up the slack, and I chose to do that.
I liken it to a CEO who would look at his company to say, well, I may not be the best analyst for this particular job, therefore I'm going to put this person in charge of a task that we have in order to get the best possible outcome. I'm still the CEO over the length of the competition, but for this particular task, I've put the right person in the right seat to do that job.
We've been very organized. It was interesting from the onset because we had to be clear on who's going to be the leader. We were able to do that fairly quickly, which then allowed us to focus on the contents of the innovation product itself.
The leader we picked was Matado. He stepped up to the plate and he volunteered to be the leader, so we gave it to him. Obviously, the insurance industry is dominated by men, and women do tend to can tend to take a bit of a back seat. I just don't think that in this case that's the scenario. Matado's a good leader, and I think he's quite innovative and forward-thinking, and his strength is product development. It's what he does.
It was good in that it was unanimous. I also wanted to do it in any case, so I didn't feel like I was pushed into it.
As a leader, he is able to pull us through together. He has a good team, and as the team, we are making it an easy task for him to stand out and be the leader.
Leadership comes with its responsibility, so you do understand that if the team doesn't perform and if you don't win, the possibility is that the judges may hold you accountable. The only way I approach it is to do the best we can. So as any leader would, try to energize the guys to give their best work. The goal at the end of the day is to win it.
We must remember that there are different types of leadership styles, and just because you're leading from the front in terms of being in the front does not necessarily mean that you're not active leading from the back as well.
Task 2 has been very interesting. I think it took all of us out of our comfort zones. It's been rough and harsh, that's what I can say.
We've got a very good idea going. I've sold it, everyone's bought onto it. Now it's a matter for us to present it and sell it to the judges. Credit
where credit is due, the idea was Nick's. Credit to the team for jumping on, and that's the one thing we've done exceptionally well, agreeing with the idea, agreeing that this is what we are going to do. I think at the moment we're having big challenges with Cello, where we, having decided upon a narrow focus, there's still deviations from that time and time again in terms of additional suggestions made, deviations from the plan. It's costing us.
We have come up with a solution, so we found the task quite doable, and we're busy with it now.
I think it was a good collaboration between all of us. There were some things that I wanted to include that weren't included, that I think should have been included. Well, I think a bit further out the box than some of my other teammates. I think Palesa stood out for me in a little bit of a bad way. I think sometimes she thinks too much in the box, and a lot of what she said was things that had already been done.
There was probably a weaker team member. If we look at the four of us, Palesa would always come up with ideas that were not necessarily had to do anything with motor insurance, with the task, and always have to remind her that no, how does this thing help the client?
Palesa is coming off a little bit less assertive, and I don't think that she is weak in general, but it is making it difficult to hear her out with all of us talking at the moment.
My role in the team that I have been doing is becoming more vocal about questioning all the decisions that are being made, and it has assisted.
So I think what's important from my perspective is, one, understanding the insurance value chain is a given. But really the crux is understanding the contextual drivers. What are the factors that are external to the industry that are driving change in the industry? That's really the trick. Your view has to be bigger than just the insurance value chain. You've got to understand the global contextual factors that are changing the industry and apply that. So the person that can draw that link quite quickly is the team that will win.
I think we've got a great idea. I think we're going to structure it correctly. We're going to present it well, and we're going to sell it. And there's no losing from that.
We're confident now in our idea. We're confident in what we put together. You got to stick with your team, good and bad, and that's what we're going to do. The idea is still to win it. We'll deal with what happens afterwards if we don't.
I think if our team loses, a lot of the pressure falls on the leader's shoulders because he obviously led the team to that. I think if we lose, though, then the other team would have done really well because I think our idea is really good.
I'm very confident and happy with the idea that we have.
Welcome back. Before we get started, what is your group name?
Fresh Solutions.
Once again, I'd like to thank Precious and Discovery Insure for sponsoring this task. Off you go.
I'm the project manager for Fresh Solutions. I'm here with my team. We'll be taking you through the executive summary. According to statistics, for every 100 deaths that occur in South Africa, 33 of them are due to a fatal motor accident. To take it further, 20% of all motor vehicle accidents are caused by driver fatigue. We then believe that we need a solution that can help drivers to be more alert. Our solution is an app which will monitor driver fatigue, which will then make a beep so that the driver can be alert. 2, our app monitors lane deviation so that the moment the vehicle starts to swerve off the lane, it tells the driver. 3, it monitors the surrounding environment.
Our solution is to reduce the road fatalities by using technology, and we believe that this is what the client needs. We have all heard recently of the medical student who had a fatal accident because of driver fatigue. We all know we need to take breaks, and this app will be able to highlight that to you to say, this is when you're fatigued, you've taken so many miles, please stop and rest. And you not only endanger yourself, but other drivers on the road.
This doesn't exist anywhere in the world. I mean, it seems like a very simple solution. I mean, I know there are cars that do this.
Yes,
but
high-end, high-value cars.
high-end value cars.
Which not everyone has
yes,
access
which not
to.
everyone can afford.
Yes.
So you're saying there's no sort of app solution to...
So as simple as it is, some of the best ideas are simple, and this simply brings everything together.
One of the other leading causes of accidents apparently is people using their mobile phones. I mean, because what it sounds like is you're using an app. How is this information being fed to you without you...
Through the Bluetooth.
If you think about like a GPS, the TomTom, it's got that thing that you put on your windscreen. So the camera actually can be used to then look at your eyes to pick up your fatigue. And then it's a voice prompt. So it's a warning sound, bong, which makes you then slow down.
We are going to be using our, making use of existing data. By data, I mean Google, with having a dedicated division and a team that's focused solely on this project means that time will be decreased as well in developing it.
What is the device that collects that information? Is it the mobile phone?
Your actual phone itself, because obviously we work on the technology and use the phone itself to piggyback.
So the phone is also the one that scans your eyes.
How is it scanning your face and the road at the same time?
So we're going to use also the satellite. So the satellites, Google Maps, will ask for that permission. We'll be able to tell you the conditions of the road in the current conditions.
Have you seen a photo from Google Maps? So if you went onto your phone now and went to your home address...
The photos are old, but their traffic data is in real time.
To have something telling you that you're veering off course in your lane, or that there's a pedestrian that stepped out in front of you, or somebody that stopped suddenly, I'm not convinced that can be done with a mobile phone.
Well, because it's new, because this is the disruptor. This is what we're thinking ahead on.
If you remember when we started, we did say that 20% of the accidents on the road are caused by fatigue. So our number one value proposition is the ability to detect driver fatigue.
Within those statistics, there might be a certain demographic of driver that suffers from fatigue. Long-distance truck drivers, for instance, who are, I believe, not your clients at the moment.
Yeah,
So
I think we should actually end it here and follow up later.
thank you. You're dismissed. The most exciting thing about, what do they call themselves? Fresh Solutions. Their proposal was the lane detection, environmental scan, and the phone is not capable of doing those things.
I think they thought well, but they just didn't have enough time to think about the technology and unpack that.
So the only remaining thing was the fatigue. And I've found something here, which is an article from the Independent in the UK. And there's an app called the Anti-Sleep Pilot.
So the idea is already there. They were trying too hard to get to the presentation point without focusing on what the big idea is.
When I was quizzing Lisa about some of these issues, she got quite defensive.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable with the interaction.
It was an assumption that you don't understand technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the problem was that they don't understand technology.
Yeah.
At least they don't understand it enough to unpack the details that we needed to understand the solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, Kabelo did quite well.
Kabelo was
Her delivery is good.
Palisa, I think she diminished the work that the team was doing during the presentation.
Welcome back, guys. Hopefully for one of you, this won't be the last time you're in this room. Could you tell me what the name of your team is?
Out of the Cube. Our team leader for today has been Kurt Stanley. Our other consultants are Nick, Cicero, and myself, Keith. The problem that we have found is that there is a delay in the claims processing process from point of impact and the customer experience in this regard, and we would like to improve the claims notification and authorization process by addressing specific claims inefficiencies and turnaround times based on the existing Discovery Insure app and what that app currently allows, and enhancing same. In terms of our presentation, you'll see that we'll be bringing something to the market that no one currently has.
I want to, in simple terms, explain how the device and how the technology works. So we have a Discovery Insure client who has existing telematics in the vehicle. So we brainstormed and came up with the idea, why not leverage off those telematics by making a solution to a client where it matters critically, which is your claims processing time period. By implementation of this technologies, we want to give Discovery Insure the capabilities of possibly settling a drivable vehicle claim immediately.
Has this technology been deployed for this purpose anywhere else in the world?
So yes, the technology has at the moment, piezoelectric sensors are being, and nodes are being used in Europe, etc., which is where we got our research from.
So this is an unmatched claims experience for the client. Reducing a claims experience for a client by so much as taking it down from 12 days to about 24 hours.
Just in terms of the breakdown, is it the 1,500, is that the cost of the material or is that the cost of the installation?
Of installing. So your car will drive in and they will install that those 6 sensors, and the cost of that will be more like installation of a tracker. You go to a garage, they install the tracker, and there is a cost for that. That is the cost that we're talking about.
Being able to position and give Discovery the ability to shorten their claims process and thereby add significant value to their client, we believe will be market leading. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're dismissed.
So you see, in comparison to Fresh Solutions, I think they understood their technology more.
Yeah.
It seemed like a more workable solution, even though there were some gaps in the costing and what the technology exactly can do.
They understand the content, but how they present it and sell it, it doesn't really convince the client. I don't know whether it was an element of nervousness. What I actually found quite interesting is that the way they fielded the questions was really great. Together as a team, they all had their own opportunity to actually address the questions, so there wasn't a sense of people not being involved. But My concern was actually really about, Kurt at some point, I think he became so nervous and distrusting of the team that he tried to actually take over. And that's, I think, is a minus from a leadership perspective.
What did you guys think about Keith? Because
he gave the exec summary.
he did, and then it almost seemed like he went like, "Oh, well, I'm out," So over to you guys.
So lots of passing the buck today, then.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the moment of truth, guys. Had quite a bit of time to work through this task. You've delivered your presentations. I want to commend you. You lifted your game slightly. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, someone has to go home today. I'm going to hand over to Precious now so she can discuss the content of the presentations.
I would agree that the ideas were relatively innovative. I mean, there are other things in terms of just knowledge around the technology. One group I thought was stronger in terms of unpacking the technology and how it would work. It showed that there was more research. Whereas another group, I think the idea could have been better, but they didn't understand and unpack the technology. They didn't have a good handle on it. So if we don't understand it, then, you can't sell it, basically.
Thank you, Precious. For you?
Thank you, Precious. Thank you, Simon. Guys, I just want to say well done. You did put a lot of effort. I saw a lot of great teamwork at play. You all rallied together, you all engaged each other, and challenged each other as well, because that's also important. Executive summary, well done. Both teams, really, really well done. I think you actually did heed the feedback from the last task and did your research accordingly. And then in terms of presentation skills, I also think it's better than the last task. You were more confident.
Thanks, Vuyo. If I can start with the guys from Out of the Cube. Kurt, you were the leader today. Something happened, leadership roles changed. Keith handed over to you. If this doesn't work out for your team today, are you going to take responsibility for that?
If I look at the team's performance as the leader and the individual contribution, I think the person who perhaps contributed the least and perhaps from an influence perspective was not part of the rest of the team was Chill. And I give that feedback to grow.
Keith, as the former leader of this group who chickened out?
In terms of that decision, I take it as though I liken it to the CEO of running a company. The CEO isn't necessarily always the right man for the task at the time.
So you see yourself as the chief executive officer of this group?
In terms of the competition, you need to have confidence in your ability over the length of the long run. Yeah. So I see myself as that, and in this particular task, Kurt showed willingness up front to lead the team after we had come up with the initial decision that we had all agreed upon. He is showing some great initiative and adding great value, and I could just see his passion coming through, and I thought he was the right man for the task in this regard.
Yeah. Who's the weakest member of the team then?
Unfortunately, I'd have to give it to Telo in this regard.
Victoria, you're the team of Fresh Solutions. If this doesn't work out for your team?
I'd say that it will depend on the reasons for us losing the task. I did show great leadership. I was able to get the team to work well together.
So who then, as the leader, would you say deserves to go home?
I would say Palesa, based on the contributions that everybody made and the role that everybody played toward getting us here. But not that she did a bad job, just that relatively, she was the weakest.
The winning group for today's task, sponsored by Discovery Insure, is Out of the Cube. Palesa, I'm afraid this is your last day. You can leave the boardroom.
Thank you.
The first one out, and
Very proud of myself because I made it up to the top 8, and also the growth that I've experienced between Task 1 and Task 2 were exceptional, I must say. So I'm very proud of myself.